City Attorney, you have a report?
Yes, this is involving the casino progress. As you know, there's a period of time called statute of limitations that anybody has to sue on a claim. Now, we're not close to that statute of limitations, and what's been going on for at least the last several months is a continuing adoption of a document that's called a tolling agreement. So whatever the statute of limitation period of time is gets stopped, tolled for some period of time. Well, today is the last day of the last tolling agreement. It doesn't mean the statute of limitation runs out tomorrow. It just means that the clock will start ticking again. I should be reading it, it'd be better, right? The clock should start ticking again. What has been the request, and I think Representatives of Morganti and REG are here today, is to continue the process. I sent out a letter to all of you earlier today. I hope you all received it. That came from Morganti's attorney, talking about how there's been cooperation, there's been progress, but certainly it's not resolved. They're scheduling testing to be done on particularly the doorways over the next several weeks. And so, you know, the suggestion is to extend that tolling agreement again. Now, I will say this. If, let's say you agree to this, let's say you, and I would suggest 3 or 4 months, because those that's coming back, if you've read that letter, it's going to take at least that long to go through the testing process. But let's say 6 weeks, 8 weeks into it, you believe that there's been no progress being made, no testing's happening. That doesn't preclude you from saying, put it on the agenda and we want to move forward with litigation. So, because I get the sense from the last conversation that this came up, you're understandably frustrated that it's not done already. It's I've heard some comments that it's taken longer to fix it than it did take to build it. So, you know, they're all here and they can certainly address any comments or questions or make a presentation. But again, by extending it, you're not in any way tying your hands from still moving forward if you decide to.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. What did we, last time we took action on this was when?
I believe it was March.
And they were supposed to come back like in 2 weeks. As I
And then we
recall.
extended it again.
And did they come back?
I think it just came back. I think Christie was at that meeting. I think it just came back, and then it was the extension that went to June 7th.
Okay. Can somebody tell me what exactly has been done since March and today?
Well, I would defer to either the Morganti or the REG attorneys to explain what's been done. I mean, again, I know there's a...
What has been done?
Right. Okay.
Commissioners, my name is Robert Carlson, and I represent Morganti. This has been a process that has gone on since before March, when we were at the last meeting. There were a number of issues relating to the design of the door thresholds, the balcony slabs, and the fix that we propose is, I would say, a level of complicatedness is a level 8 compared to what was originally constructed, which was a sloping concrete slab. We have a thoroughly engineered get draining system that incorporates, I think REG can speak to it, probably 6 or 7 different kind of moving parts. We have had numerous communications with counsel for the city, numerous meetings with the architects and engineers and subcontractors, and as far as I can tell from, and I put forth in my letter, there are 2 remaining action items that need to be done before we can move forward with the modifier. One is the selection of the tile, which is understandably an important issue, but something that can be done relatively easy. The second is determining the performance criteria. And pretty much there are two test procedures that have been floated out there. One is what is initially done during the initial testing of the doors, or the notice of acceptance. And that is a test that's usually done in controlled atmospheric conditions at the factory. The next is a modified approach to that, which is what is usually done in the field. And since these doors have been in place for over a year, there needs to be some protocol in between the two. And the city's consultant, Will Smith, and REG have been going back and forth trying to decide what performance criteria to use for the door that needs to be agreed upon before we go out and tear up those decks. And my client is prepared to go out there and start the mock-up. We were ready and able to do that, but until we actually know what criteria we're going to use for the doors and with tile, it will just be a worse condition because it would be an open condition. So we propose that we have an agreement as to the testing specifications. I'm just a lawyer from Moganti. I'm not an engineer. There is, Mr. Price can tell you, sheets of paper and calculations to determine what actual the testing criteria is going to be. Once there's an agreement between Mr. Smith and REG, we can, and we order the tile, which takes 2 to 4 weeks. We can do something.
May I continue? So basically, nothing physically has happened. It's just been a continued conversation.
No, I believe that REG provided the city a box of the proposed porcelain tiles to look at, feel, touch, the color samples, and a mock-up, a small mock-up of what the system's going to be. It's 4 or 5 different components. You can actually see what the end product will be.
You know, I know this is going to sound awful to you, but I think I'm the one that made the comment that, you know, this issue has gone on much, much longer than it took for us to design the building and build the building. And then as you were speaking and talking about the communication, trying to figure out, you know, what control test and what field test, I'm thinking they built the Empire State Building in about a year. And we can't figure out how to keep water from coming in under doors when the original contract, the building, you knew it was on the waterfront. You know it rains in South Florida. Okay? And here we are having this conversation about let's try something new and unique. Try to keep water out of the building that we already knew was going to take water to begin with. I just don't understand why in the world we are going down this path and why it's taken so long.
There are 2 issues. One is the doors and the balconies, and the other, the doors, and the second is the balcony slab. And the original construction documents called for, I believe there was a change during construction as to what threshold would be allowed. There was a concern by the city, understandably, about ADA compliance. The problem is the trade-off between ADA compliance, which is a low threshold on doors, and a higher threshold, which is going to prevent water from coming in. So it's a delicate balancing act. And if you've looked at the proposal that put forth, it's a modified approach which seals some of the doors, low thresholds, and carries at a covered and higher threshold, which took us a while to agree to as to what would be practical and aesthetically pleasing. At the end of the day, what we are contemplating is a a more complicated, I think, better system than what actually was out there. We're just concerned of giving you a beautiful building with a functionality that's going to keep water in and be long term. And we just don't want to rush that. There are a lot of issues up in the air, and I think we're in the home stretch of 2 remaining action items from the list that we have.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, and like you, I'm not an engineer. I'm just not buying all this. I'm really not buying all this. Somebody either is looking at this as an afterthought, the project's built and it's not a priority, but it should be a priority, okay? The building doesn't even have a CO on it yet. Is that correct?
It's got a TCO.
Yeah. Yeah, how long has the building been open? 3 years?
How long has the building been open? 3 years?
I think it's 12, wasn't it, reopened?
4 years.
No, what's the grand opening? We had a 4th of July. It's the 4th of July.
Oh, so it's 4 years. I'm sorry, gentlemen, I just don't get this. And I don't get it because every week I talk to several citizens that want to know what the heck is going on with the casino building. That is not functional. It's not CO'd. We can't use the upstairs. You know, this is ludicrous. It's a multi-billion-dollar construction company, and you guys can't figure out how to keep water out of the building. And we're just, and all I hear is more excuses and more dialogue. And let's pick the color. Let's pick the texture of the tile. Are you kidding me? We're picking out the fire hoses of the major fire here, or the color of the fire hoses. So we shouldn't be doing that.
Go ahead. Yes.
Mike Olnick, Vice President Virginia. The architect representative is here, and Commissioner, I've been before you before. It's important for you to understand that we just don't leave this meeting and go back to doing what we do and ignore this issue. This is an issue that affects, and I've said it before, our reputation, REG's reputation, both of which in our business is all we have.
Can you
So-
speak into the
I'm sorry,
microphone,
sorry.
please?
Which
Thank
one?
you.
This one?
That one.
Whichever you-
Just push
Here,
this.
you may
push
want to
this
pick it up.
pop-up. Thank you.
Or may not.
So our reputation, obviously, as we all have reputations in our business, is all we have. So it's important for you to understand that when we leave these meetings, REG is working on redesign, we're working on mock-ups, we're working on concepts to try to solve a problem. It's no different than, in situations where you have a home, where you have a business, you try to solve the problem for your client. In our case, we're trying to do that. After the last meeting, the city retained an expert. And when you have more than one expert, you have an architect, we have engineers, we have your experts, there's dialogue. In that dialogue, the city's consultants are trying to do right by you, both their counsel as well as the engineer. They want to protect you. We want to work with them. But it's not just a light switch. This is a complex issue. It's on the ocean. I agree, Commissioner. It's on the ocean. There are maintenance issues. There's lots of issues. But the assurance that I think you have to understand is we leave these meetings and we work on this. There's dialogue with the city attorney. There's dialogue. It's meetings. There's redesigns. You have to look at it from our perspective. We're not just walking away and saying, oh, man, I don't want to have to come back. We're here. And, Colin is here, who is an architect. Certainly ask him the questions. But I get the frustration, but please understand that we're not going to leave you, we're not walking away from this. We're not. Nor is the architect. We're going to solve this.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Commissioner McFly, go ahead.
I'm going to add a couple more things. I remember, unfortunately, I was here during the process of approving this project, and I specifically asked Morganti about their experience level of coastal construction, and I was told that you had extensive experience in coastal construction. My question to you would be, of all the projects you've done along the coast, how many of these projects have wound up in the same situation that we've wound up in?
In all candor, Commissioner, this may be the only, look, in any construction, sometimes you have issues. No surprise. I'm not aware of any quite like this. But it's solvable. So, to be candid, this is the only one I'm aware of.
Okay. My point is this. It's been 4 years.
Yep.
Okay? I personally didn't believe going into this that the project could be done for the money that was put on the table. I made that very, very clear. I know there was some value engineering done. I don't know how that factors, if it does factor into this or not. I would suggest that Morganti and RG stop whatever you're doing with your other clients and fix this problem. And not just, when we all get around to it, exchange an email. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. You need to stop what you're doing and fix this.
It's a priority, Commissioner, and
I
I have to assure you it's a priority to me. It's a priority to the president of the company I want to report to. It's a priority to Mr. Gonzalez. These are priorities. Why? We live here. We work here. From our perspective, we showcase, and it's no surprise, we're proud of this facility, as you are. And we have to get this fixed. And I agree with you, and I'm assuring you, it is a priority. We don't leave here and say, oh man, let's wait for 3 more months and we'll figure something out.
No,
We don't do that.
That's not what I suggested, but I do know how it works. You've got a lot of clients. REG has a lot of clients. You got a lot of folks doing a lot of different things.
But not a lot of unhappy clients.
Well, I
And
speak
that's
for
where
myself.
you are, and that's what we
I'm
can't
extremely unhappy.
I know that.
Okay, and I cannot explain with a straight face to any resident of this community why it's taken so long to fix this issue. It's laughable. It's absolutely laughable, the situation we find ourselves in. Absolutely laughable. I can't support extending this tolling agreement unless somebody can,
Commissioner McFly?
I hear Commissioner Maxwell's frustration, and I particularly hear it because, don't go away yet. Sorry, I didn't mean that in a bad way. I meant it in a good way, but...
Why don't you just stick around?
See, after the meetings, they just go away. There you go. I hear Commissioner Maxwell's frustration, and I think it's particularly strong because, he doesn't want to be in the situation of, gosh darn it, I told you so, that this wasn't going to work. And I hear that frustration. As we've talked about before, I'm a technical guy. I'm not an engineer, but the reminder, because that was actually one of the things on my list, is that I do get the technical aspects of how you're going to test this. Do you put it in a wind tunnel in Reno, Nevada, or do you do it here? How do you do this? And obviously the results of the tests are going to depend on how you do the test. And so coming to some reasonable agreement is actually kind of a big deal. I think what we'd say, as not necessarily educated folks, is get the fire department out there with a hose and blow it on it. But it's not that simple. You know, you've got to come up with some reasonable criteria, because you and I, as technical people, know that if you put a big enough fire hose, anything's going to leak. So,
for not insisting on the fire hose.
Yes. So you've got to come up with something and say, look, this is going to go through a 40-mile-an-hour straight west wind with rain coming down like cats and dogs, but it's not going to go through a hurricane. You're going to get some water damage. And, you know, if you want to pay for something that'll go through a hurricane, make it a bunker and don't put it on the coast. So I get that you've got to come to some reasonable agreement. I'm glad that we have a technical representative who presumably is going to push you, hey, make it 40 miles an hour, don't make it 10 miles an hour, and you'll come up with something.
That's exactly where they are. They've agreed to all aspects of the water test except the pressure.
Yeah, and that's a big deal.
One issue.
Yeah, and coming up with something reasonable. It's not like something you can look up in a book somewhere. So,
Commissioner Meyer?
Thank you. The last time that you were here, you may remember that I was one of the more sympathetic people. I didn't think that it was right that you weren't notified about the action and weren't invited to the meeting. When you started out talking today, you reminded us of the things that maybe we aren't considering and what you need for us to understand. And you're probably very correct about that, as none of us are engineers or architects. However, I'm a business owner, and there are other business owners here. And I think that you need to understand that there is a way to make your customer feel like you do care and that you are taking action. Though we got some la from this side today, it's other staff that I've heard from that have this feeling like things aren't moving fast enough. So whether that is perceived or actual, the feeling is there. And as the businesses, I would like to see you address that feeling and make your customer feel more comfortable about what's going on. However, when I look at the reason why we're here again today, it's not because an incident happened where we said, they're just not doing their job. We're here because it's the last day of the tolling agreement. For that reason, I would vote to extend the tolling agreement, but I would leave you with the caveat that whatever is going on in engineer land, you need to make your customers, some of whom are lay people, comfortable with what's going on.
I will look into that, Commissioner. Typically, the communication is between lawyers and the architect and your experts, your engineers. That is the typical, to get through this, the typical dialogue, technical to technical, legal to legal. I'm not aware, but I will inquire if we have using vernacular, run someone the wrong way, whether it's in the city staff or a consumer. I'd like to hear about that, and I would ask that you, with the city attorney's permission, let me know the facts, because we in Morganti, and I'm speaking for REG as well with NOD, we would not tolerate that. This is too sensitive of an issue, and I get that. So if there are specifics and you can relate them to the city attorney, you can tell me or whatever they're looking at, and I'd like to get to the bottom of that. And if that's the case, I apologize, but our dialogue has been pretty restricted, unless there was some offhand comment, which I'd like to find out about. And I apologize if it was. Thank you.
I have just one wrap up here. Nobody's happy about where we're at. You remember me saying to your face 4 years ago, whenever it was, get this done and get this done fast. I understand what goes on in business. I am a business owner. I oversee many budgets. I get it. Everybody will always find the time to handle what's most important to them. Whether you have money, you don't have money. You have time, you don't have time. You will always find the time. Everybody, it's in human nature to find the time and get something done. Now, if all of your daughters, assuming you had daughters, were getting married next weekend at the casino building, and you had spent a fortune to put that wedding together, and you had a hotel waiting and $1 million in food and whatever the heck else you were doing, and it was your only daughter and you could not wait, and she had booked that establishment, I bet you come hell or high water, no pun intended, that casino ballroom would be fixed. Okay? We get it. We've put up with it for 4 years. Everybody will find time to fix something that's important to you. You are one of the most well-respected, you are both some of the most well-respected companies in your field. We're honored that you worked on this project. We're pleased with the outcome of the project for the most part. Please, let us just start new business relationships together, okay? Let's get this under the table and find the time, because it is that important. And your daughter's getting married next weekend. Okay?
Well noted.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
It just occurred to me that you're talking about these controlled tests and the field tests. And I guess my question to you would be, is that something you are doing especially for us, or is that something you do for all your coastal projects?
No, that in all candidly, this is something we're doing for you based upon the facts of this project. I'm not suggesting that we haven't done tests in other areas, but to my knowledge, this is the only one we have that I have seen. I don't know whether the architect sees this routinely or not, but they do. They do.
Okay, I'm not going to beat up on you guys anymore, but this is nuts. I can't believe that we're in this.
Can I beat up on him a little bit?
Can you do a better job than me?
No, I want to be consistent here, because from staff's perspective and my involvement in this, we have been consistent, and the attorneys will back me up on this. We are not engineers. We are not architects. This is akin to a consumer buying a car. Mm-hmm. And you get the car delivered. It does not perform the way it was promised and designed. Don't come to me and ask me to fix the design. Give me your final and best offer to solve the solution. The fact of the matter is, the way it is built and the way it is designed, it can't be delivered as promised. There is going to have to be some kind of final offer on what this thing will look like and how it's going to function. And it's not as was originally promised. That's where we're having this rub here. I want you guys to give us a final best offer, design, products, everything from doors stem to stern, and it's going to be different from what was promised to the city, and you are going to have to accept it or not accept it. But for God's sakes, give us your final offer. I'm not going to design it for you. Don't come to me and ask me how to design the doors, or if we want to put an awning up over the area to prevent it, but it doesn't meet wind capacity. There's so many things in there. That's not what we're paid to do.
You were paid for your expertise.
You
Fix
guys
the problem.
Figure out
Fast.
Give us your
and correctly.
I've had a mock-up in my office since last year on this design. I've had it sitting on the floor. I've tripped over those GD tiles. I don't know how many. I broke 2 of them. I'm not paying you for them. Okay? The color and those things match what's there. That shouldn't even be a question. I'm boggled.
Understood.
Okay. And
Give us your final and best offer on what the actual solution is.
Let's go back to the item, which is the extension of the tolling agreement. What is
Madam
the...
Mayor, I would suggest, because again, I want to be realistic, your meeting is October the 4th, which is about 4 months
But their
out.
daughters are getting married next weekend at the casino building.
Hopefully they'll elope. Take the money and leave. Take the elope.
Well, you tell me how long you think. I mean, from, again, reading their reports, I think realistically, daughters getting married or not, I think it's still going to take them some time. Now, how much time do you guys think is realistic?
And why didn't you tell us that the last time?
3 months ago.
I'm just saying what we said last time, and now we're here. Now we're asking again. Be honest. What do you need? We're trying to help you here. And we're trying to help us and help you.
As he pointed out, we had a mock-up to you in October of 2014.
Yeah. Right.
So we need somebody to say yay or nay with all of our suggestions, which came in at least as far as what could be done in this situation in October of 2015. You're right, we can't deliver exactly what you had wanted because it's impossible to have an ADA compliant door with that kind of threshold.
Correct.
But we need someone to say, we like that tile, we like that slope, we want to seal these doors. Someone to make a final decision. So if you provide us with somebody who can say yes or no, we can tell you when we need to do it.
I think you're misunderstanding the point, gentlemen.
Yeah.
You guys have to get it sloped at the slope away from the building and the doors don't leak. I mean, I've been the nice guy here, but frankly, your comments are irking me. You know, this has been years. Mike, you have a good relationship.
I agree.
Fix the problem.
I agree.
Thank
They've
you.
been saying that. Just fix the problem. I'm going to suggest October the 5th.
Yeah.
October the 6th is your next meeting, 4 months from now. If in 4 months it's not fixed, my recommendation is file suit. I'll let you know right now, guys. So in 4 months, fix it. So do you agree to could someone make a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
We have a second?
What the attorney said.
All those in favor? Aye. October 5th.
Wait, excuse me. I think,
Yes.
are there any opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry. All those opposed?
Aye. No, that'd be,
Nay.
no, it's, I, actually, the affirmative, nay. Yeah, we'll talk later.
So is it unanimous or is it?
No, 3 to 1.
It's not, it's 3 to 1.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Good job, everyone.